Well, DairyNZ's Climate Change Ambassadors is not a new concept, but it does have a new chair. Fraser McGougan is from Whakatane and is looking forward to leading the ambassadors to engage with farmers, communities and decision makers to provide a farmer voice at a national level. He's been a climate change ambassador since 2018, and Fraser joins us now on Sarah's Country. Fraser, this is a really exciting thing for you to be a part of off-farm.
Yeah, it's really neat. I think you summed it up in your introduction about New Zealand's progression in agriculture. And personally, we've had exactly the same progression. We started out as young farm owners and we had to chase financials, then we chased production, and then kind of hit the epiphany moment where it's actually we need to do something about the environment. And sitting around talking about it on farm sometimes doesn't make as much change as we need. So this opportunity arose and just kind of taking a bit of a gamble and trying to help out other farmers on the road to climate change.
How did you become involved in this initiative?
We started out with a few different of the dairy industry awards, but when we entered the Balanced Farm Environmental Awards, it really interested us, and we got engaged with a group of people who are all doing the similar things, but all in isolation, but all in different areas. And so from there, we've pushed on and found that with DairyNZ, there was a group of climate change ambassadors, and I became one of them to represent and find out information and find what we could do. So it was just a natural progression, kind of striving for doing a bit more for other people. It's not all about me or all about our farm. It's actually a bigger picture, and that's what climate change is now, which I'm rapidly realising.
Yeah, and of course there has been a lot of vilification of the cow, and that they are only one part of the overall direction of how we as an agricultural sector in New Zealand can make our contribution to reduce greenhouse gas emissions. You said there about collectively working together, and I'd love to know what sort of learnings and findings you have amongst yourselves found is some of the low-hanging fruit.
I think the first part of the question there was the Climate Change Commission has made it quite clear that this is a national problem which we'll need to address, and everyone has their part to play. And so with dairy farming, we're not out on our own, but we've actually been on this pathway for the last 3 years. And as the lowest producer with the carbon footprint of milk in the world, we're in a good place to start. But picking up low-hanging fruit such as being more efficient with your fertiliser use. There's small things that you can take, small steps, such as potentially decreasing or matching your stocking rate to your pasture growth curve, that you can make quite big returns quite rapidly. And most of the time they actually make financial sense as well. So we actually do have little tools which we can pull, and fertility of your herd is a simple one, which people kind of think about, but if we focus on, we can actually make some more rapid results.
What did you make of Rod Carr, the Climate Change Commission's report when it came to the recent suggestions that simply reducing stocking rates is the first port of call when we haven't had enough time to get those key technologies such as gene edited ryegrasses, methane inhibitors, etc.?
I think what he was alluding to there is that there's a natural progression of decreasing dairy in our area, which is the Bay of Plenty. I can only speak for this area, but we've had, in our valley, where I farm, we've had 3 farms move into either cropping, maize or dairy support, or there's horticulture as well. And so that natural progression of matching the land use to the land with kiwi fruit in certain areas or beef and sheep in others or trees in others is actually quite natural, and that's probably from market driven as well. So we've seen at the back of low payouts. We've got a really great payout now, so it's a really good opportunity, but that is probably what he's alluding to there.
The Dairy Action for Climate Change was created in 2018, so 3 years later, what have we done?
a lot of learning, a lot of research, and a lot of networking. Like for me personally, I started like everyone else. I thought I knew about climate change, but I didn't know the amount of impact that it was going to have, and also the rapidly evolving space which we have signed up for. So He Waka Eke Noa is part of the government strategy to do that, and that is evolving at quite a quick pace. So yeah, we're just on a real journey at the moment, and it's going very quickly. And so trying to stay abreast of changes and trying to provide feedback to government and industries about what we're doing is probably the most important thing. Like I've really pushed that young people have to still be given an opportunity. We can't buy our way out of this problem. We actually need to address the issues. We can't differentiate it and give it to other industries. This is our problem. Our climate change is something for us to own, which we can do bits about. And we need to know and take logical steps and not take risks, but just take 1% gains and really, start on the journey.
It's an interesting time too. It's great to receive, ag research findings that we are the lowest carbon emitted dairy industry in the world. But that sometimes can be detriment to the message that we still have further to go. How do you find that communicating to the wider dairy industry when people sort of see those headlines and think, oh no, we're out of the clear, we're good?
I think with dairy farming being 25% of the emissions profile of New Zealand, we're one of the larger contributors. So even though we're good on a global stage, we haven't focused on the improvements which we can make. Like, as you said before, we haven't done the gene editing. We haven't had the rumen modifiers yet. We haven't really had time to do the research, and research takes time. So we need reinvestment from government to help us speed up and make these decisions and provide that they're robust and are sustainable. Financially, socially is a huge thing, and they have to fit with our targets, which are New Zealand's targets. So it's.
What do you make of the ability to make changes in our inputs, our diesel operated systems and our fertiliser application, as opposed to waiting for new technologies? I know there's been a lot of sentiment around, well, it's not practical to have electric tractors and the torque's not there, etc. I mean, how can we start to at least move in that direction and actually practically still run our farms?
There's a few things that we've done, and it's probably driven more financially initially, but it's putting GPS guidance on our tractors. It's really quite financially simple. It's great for start, but what it does is it provides us with no overlap when we put it on nitrogen. So we instantly are saving on overlap. We're instantly being able to target our areas, and we've dropped 10% of nitrogen because we don't do gateways. It's practical solutions by farmers for farmers, and you go 10% off a nitrogen bill, or actually 10% off a highly leaching area around a gateway. It's a win-win. So just farmers talking, and farmers will solve these problems, and they will make good. It's a number eight mentality. If we have something, we will address it. Yeah.
Do you think that we have to be financially incentivised by our suppliers? By the processes that we supply in premium programs to achieve this behavioural change, or do we have to sort of get the stick out?
I'm unsure of exactly what will happen, or maybe will people choose not to buy a product if it isn't, say, for instance, carbon neutral. Maybe they'll choose something off the shelf, so you won't sell as much. I wouldn't know the exact answer to that. You'd probably have to ask the producers or the dairy companies.
Yeah, well, I suppose to clarify my question, it's more to do with, do you think dairy farmers in New Zealand need a premium supply contract with the likes of Fonterra or Synlait to drive behavioural change in this area?
Yeah, because at the moment you're getting a premium for New Zealand dairy products because of the grass-fed, the quality product. So having a carbon neutral product may drive that. It will be very similar to branding of organics, which people will pay for. But in a downturn, they potentially won't. So it's interesting to see where it will head.
Yeah, and a fantastic group of ambassadors that you have recognised quite a few names there from across the country on the DairyNZ Climate Change Ambassadors group that Fraser is chairing. Fraser, best wishes for all of the discussions at high level you are having on behalf of the dairy industry with government. It's not an easy job, particularly when you're, of course, farming with your wife Catherine on 430 cow dairy farm in Whakatane as well. So well done, and thank you very much on behalf of all our listeners and viewers.